Hello students. In the last session we have discussed production of pig iron from blast furnace. So in that one we have discussed what is pig iron and what are the steps involved in production of pig iron and construction details of blast furnace, and later we have discussed the operation of blast furnace. What are the reactions that took place in the blast furnace we have discussed, and what is the charge of a blast furnace, and what are the products and byproducts of a blast furnace we have discussed. And if coming to those details again, I will explain the important points. See, what is pig iron? So pig iron is nothing but when iron ore is reduced in a blast furnace, you will get this pig iron. So if anybody asks what is pig iron, you are able to answer like this. So when the iron ore is reduced in a blast furnace, you will get pig iron. And what is the charge? What is the charge for a blast furnace? So what is the charge? So what the raw material you are going to give for a blast furnace is known as it's a charge. So what is the charge? You are having iron ore. So we are having different types of iron ores: hematite, magnetite, limonite, siderite. So all these iron ores, you can take any one of them. And later you are having coke and limestone. So this will become the charge for a blast furnace. And you should know what is the function of a blast furnace, charge in a blast furnace. So what is the function of charge? So in charge we are having three constraints, that is iron ore. So iron ore is having iron as main constraint, so it will gives iron. So that is the main function of iron ore. And the second one is coke. So coke is used to produce heat and it acts as a reducing agent, whereas your limestone will act as flux and which combines with the impurities and forms slag. Okay, so these are the main functions of this charge. And later we have discussed the construction details, how the construction of a blast furnace. So how the construction of a blast furnace? In a blast furnace, you are having a cylindrical type shell. In that one, inside you are having refractory material lining. The top portion is known as throat and the middle portion is known as the top portion is known as throat and the middle portion is known as bosch and the bottom portion is known as hearth. Okay. So when the operation takes place, you are keeping the charge at the top and you are sending the hot gases from the bottom. So when the reactions takes place, what will happen? The molten metal, the molten pig iron will settle at the bottom as it is having weight. On that one, you are having slag, which is having impurities. So that slag can be removed from the upper notch and the molten pig iron can be tapped from the lower notch. So, and later we have discussed different reactions in the that will occur in the blast furnace. And what are the products of a blast furnace? So what are the general main products of a blast furnace? What is the main product? That is pig iron. Along with pig iron, we are having hot furnace gases which are used to heating applications, and we are having slag which can be used in some uh, brick manufacturing industry or cement industry. We can use this slag. So these things we have studied in the previous session. And see here, so in this one, what we are going to discuss, we are going to discuss production of wrought iron in a puddling furnace. So in the previous session, we have discussed pig iron. Now we are going to discuss the production of wrought iron in a puddling furnace. So how the wrought iron will be produced in puddling furnace, and what are the reactions that will take place, and what is the construction. These things we are going to discuss in this session. If you see here, so already just now I have discussed. So what are the things we have discussed in the last previous two sessions? So in the first session, we have discussed extraction of metals. That means how the metals are extracted and what are the different technologies that are available for the extraction of metals we have discussed. And later we have discussed what is the charge for, that means what are the raw materials that are available for production of iron and steel, and what are the different types of iron ores we have discussed, and where we are going to get these iron ores in our India, and where we are having different iron and steel factories in our India, geographically we have discussed. And later we have discussed in the uh, previous session this production of pig iron in blast furnace and its composition in the sense, so whether it is useful for industrial applications or not. So because it is not useful in industrial applications, because its property is inferior, it is not suitable for directly for industrial applications. So what we have to do, we have to refine it to get a good quality iron which can be used for the industrial applications. So these things we have discussed in the previous session. Okay, and today in today's session what we are going to do, we are going to discuss these things in today's session. It is very, very important. Making, that is manufacture or production of wrought iron from a puddling furnace. So we have to know what is wrought iron and manufacture of wrought iron in a puddling furnace, and puddling furnace constructional details, how the construction of the puddling furnace will be, and raw materials. So what are the raw materials we are going to take into the puddling furnace to get a wrought iron, and principle of principle and operation. So what is the principle and operation of a puddling furnace to get wrought iron, and what are the various reactions that took place in the puddling furnace to get wrought iron, and applications and properties of wrought iron. Okay, here we are using this wrought iron for industrial applications, so that's why we are going to discuss application and properties. Whereas in pig iron we didn't discuss the applications and properties because the properties are not suitable for industrial applications. For such sake, what we are doing, we are refining it in a further process. So here we can use this wrought iron for industrial applications. That's why we are discussing applications as well as properties of wrought iron here. Okay, so what are the parameters, what are the concepts we are having? What is wrought iron, manufacture of wrought iron, puddling furnace constructional details, raw materials and principle and operation, reactions in the puddling furnace for making wrought iron, and applications of properties of wrought iron. So these things we are going to discuss in this coming session. If you see here, this one, so this is the flow chart to make. Already we have discussed a flow chart for making of pig iron. So in that one, what we have discussed, so we are taking the charge. So what that charge we are having? The charge is nothing but your iron ore, coke and limestone, and that is placed into the blast furnace. What is the product you are getting? Pig iron. Okay. So here, how you are going to get this wrought iron? So this wrought iron will be produced from the puddling furnace. See here how it will be. This is the principle we can say. So pig iron, from pig iron, removal of impurities at a high temperature by oxidation in a furnace, in a puddling furnace. Okay. So what is the principle? When you remove the impurities at high temperature in a furnace from the pig iron, you will get the wrought iron. Okay. So very simple principle. So what is the principle? So by flow chart I am showing here. So you can write in a sentence also. By removing the impurities from the pig iron at high temperature by oxidation in a furnace, that is nothing but puddling furnace, you are going to get wrought iron. So this is the main principle that will took place in a puddling furnace. Okay, so you should remember how you are going to get wrought iron. From pig iron you are going to get wrought iron. How you are going to get? You are removing the impurities at high temperatures by oxidation. Okay, so by oxidation we are removing the impurities in a furnace. What is that furnace? Puddling furnace. So in a puddling furnace we are removing the impurities from the pig iron by oxidation method, and later you are going to get wrought iron. Okay, this is the main principle of your puddling furnace to get a wrought iron. Okay, so this is the principle to get wrought iron from pig iron. See here. This is the principle of puddling furnace. Removal of impurities by oxidation from pig iron at high temperature in the furnace, that is known as fettling operation. Fettling. Okay. So this is important. This is the principle. So many times it is asked in the examination. So removal of impurities. Removal of impurities. So we are removing the impurities. Because of the presence of impurities in pig iron, it is not suitable for industrial applications. So to get that is suitable for industrial applications, what we have to do? We have to remove that impurities. So what we are doing? We are removing the impurities from pig iron by oxidation method at high temperature is known as fettling operation, and it should be done in a furnace. This is the principle. So you should remember all these words and you should frame a beautiful sentence. Okay. Removal of impurities by oxidation from pig iron at high temperatures in a furnace to get wrought iron, and it will be done in a furnace, and that process is known as fettling operation. Okay, fettling process. So this is the main principle to get wrought iron from pig iron. Okay, I am repeating once again the definition. Removal of impurities by oxidation at high temperatures in a furnace from pig iron to get wrought iron. This process is known as fettling operation. Okay, this is the main principle to get wrought iron from pig iron. Okay, and if you go for another parameters, see. So if they ask what is the principle of puddling furnace, you should write all these things. So we are removing the impurities from pig iron by oxidation method at high temperatures in a furnace, that is called fettling operation. And what are the impurities we are going to remove? Silicon, manganese, phosphorus, carbon are oxidized and removed, and what you are going to get? And you are going to get wrought iron. So this is the principle you have to write, and if necessary you can draw the flow chart also, which is relevant to your principle. See, this is your fuddling furnace. If you see here, the fuddling furnace. See, so this is the line diagram of a fuddling furnace, and you have to practice to draw this line diagram because it is very, very important. In the examination, they will ask, draw a neat sketch of puddling furnace and explain the construction and operation of puddling furnace. So you are able to draw the diagram of puddling furnace, and you are able to identify the parts and sections of a puddling furnace. If you see here, fire door, and you are having from a hair blast here, and hearth, so where the metal can be settled here, and here you are having a charging door, and you are having a dome shape like structure here, and from here the flue gases will be sent to the chimney. So this is the main construction of a puddling furnace, and we will discuss in detail in the coming slides. So you should draw this diagram carefully, and you have to identify the fire door, air blast entry, and the hearth, and the charging door, and the flue gases entry to the chimney. These things you have to mention in the diagram. So these are the main. So you are having a dome-like structure here. I will show you in the coming slides. You are having different structure. See here. If you see here, you are having a dome-like structure here, and from this one it is sent to chimney, and you are having, this is the molten metal, and from here you are sending the air blast. See this one. If you see here, this fireplace with coke or anthracite fuel. So you are having, when this coke or anthracite is burned here, and your short wall, you are having a short wall here. You are having a short wall. From this one, when this burn, heat and hot gases will enter into this chamber where you are having puddler's door, that means charging door is here. From this one, you are sending the pig iron here. So puddle, so with a semi molten pig iron, so you are sending the molten pig iron here, and puddle lining. That means you are having lining here. So that means finely pounded cinders you are having inside. And later you are sending this one to the chimney. That means hot gases are, the flue gases are sent to the chimney. So this is the main construction of a puddling furnace. So description of a puddling furnace. This is very, very important. So construction of a puddling furnace. So how a puddling furnace will look like. So how the outer constructional details will be, so those things we are going to discuss here. See here, description of puddling furnace, how the puddling furnace will look like in construction. See here, first thing you should know, it is also called as a puddling furnace is also known as a reverberatory furnace. Okay, remember this word reverberatory. I will explain what is meant by reverberatory in the coming sessions. Okay, the coming sentences I will explain what is meant by this reverberatory furnace. Okay, so it is also, what is the other name for a puddling furnace? For a puddling furnace, the other name is reverberatory furnace. So the hearth of the furnace is lined with hematite. So if you see hearth where the metal settles in the furnace, it is lined with hematite. What is hematite? Hematite is nothing but the iron ore, one of the iron ore. Okay, so that is hematite. And if you see, if you observe your diagram of a puddling furnace, if you see the roof, it has a low roof to deflect hot gases and flames towards the hearth. I am repeating, if you see the roof of the puddling furnace, how it look like? It is like a dome like structure you are having, and it is low roof. That means the gap is very low. Because of that, what is happening? What is going to happen? The hot gases and the flames are deflect towards the hearth. So towards the hearth, the hot gases will be deflected. So that's why it's called as reverberatory furnace. Reverberatory furnace. Okay. So it is having low roof, which is having a dome shape, and because of that one, what the things are happening? The hot gases, the flames that are deflecting towards the earth. So because of that one, it is known as reverberatory furnace. And earth is charged with pig iron. So from where we are going to get this, and what is the charge? What is the charge for your puddling furnace? So what you are going to charge from the charging door? Pig iron in semi-molten state. We are going to send this pig iron into the charging doors. So furnace is fired. So it can be fired to get heat so that pig iron melts. So what will happen when it is fired? That means when heat is generated, what will happen? The pig iron melts. This molten pig iron is brought in contact with fresh air by continuous puddling and stirring by long rods. So what is going to, why we are calling it as puddling furnace? Puddling means stirring. Puddling means stirring. What we are going to do? So after heating, that means when the furnace is fired, so your pig iron will be melted. After melting, what you are going to do? You will send a air blast. So if you see here, you are sending fresh air blast. Because of that, what will happen? Oxidation will take place. But to get oxidation, what we are going to do? You have to puddle it. That means you have to stir. You have to stir it. You have to stir the pig iron continuously. So that's why it is known as puddling furnace. What we are doing? You are stirring it. That is also known as puddling. So you are puddling the pig iron, molten pig iron, so such that it can come contact with the fresh air, such that it can be oxidized, and you will get wrought iron by removing the impurities. Okay, I am repeating once again. See here, before repeating it, I will show you your furnace here. See, okay, our see here. If you see here, if you see this diagram, this is the dome. This hatched part, if you see the hatched part, so how the shape will be? It is a dome-like structure. I will show you. See here, if you see the structure, how it will be a dome-like structure you are having. And if you see the gap, if you see the gap between earth and your dome, it is very less. Because of that one, whatever the hot gases it is coming from here, it will hit this one and it will be deflect back onto the earth. This is your earth, so it will be deflected back like this. So because of this one, it is known as reverberatory furnace. So whatever the flow gases and the hot gases that is touching the dome that are deflected back to the earth. So because of this nature, it is known as puddling reverberatory furnace. So puddling furnace is also known as a reverberatory furnace because of this nature. So why it is called as reverberatory furnace? Because the hot gases and the flow gases that is touching the dome, which is very short, that means the gap between the earth and the dome is very short. So because of that one, what will happen when it touches the dome, it is having a dome shape. So because of that one, it will deflect back onto the charge. That means it reflect back onto the charge or your earth. So that's why it's called as reverberatory furnace. And if you see, so from this charging door, you are sending the pig iron, and from here the coke is fired, you will get heat. That heat is, because of that is heat, what will happen? Your pig iron will be melted, and from here what you are getting, you are sending fresh air. Because of that fresh air, what will happen? What are the impurities that are having in the molten metal that will be removed off? That means by oxidation they will be removed off, they will form slag and that can be removed off, and your wrought iron can be settled here. If you see here, this is your slag and this bottom one is your wrought iron. All I told you so many times, that means iron is having heavy, so it will settle down, but your slag will be lighter compared to your iron, whether it is pig iron or wrought iron. So it will float on the molten metal. So molten metal is having higher weight, so it will settles down, whereas your slag is having lesser weight, it will float on the molten metal. So the slag can be removed easily, and easily we can tap this molten metal later. Okay, so this is the construction. We will discuss once again. See here. So why it is called as reverberatory furnace? Just now we have discussed, because of the furnace, it is having a low roof dome. So because of that dome shaped low roof, so the whatever the hot gases or flames that are deflecting back into the earth, because of that nature it is known as the reverberatory furnace. And I already told you the earth is lined with hematite. What is hematite? It is one of the iron ores. And later we are having from the charging doors, what we are going to do, we are going to charge pig iron. When the furnace is fired, so what will happen? Because you will get heat, because of that heat your pig iron melts. When the pig iron melts, what we have to do? We have to send fresh air such that it reacts with the molten metal and removes the impurities. So to get more contact with the molten metal, what we have to do? We have to stir it continuously. That means that molten metal should be stirred continuously such that this your air contacts with the molten metal and the impurities can be removed easily by oxidation process. So these are the description of a puddling furnace. Constructional details of a puddling furnace. And coming to operation. See what the things going to happen in a puddling furnace. It is also very, very important. So construction and operation. So just now we have discussed construction. Now we are discussing operation. What are the things that will happen in the puddling furnace? If you see here, so pig iron is placed in the hearth of the furnace and heated. Just now I told you. So pig iron is the charge. So that will be placed on the hearth from the charging doors. And later the furnace will be fired. That means you will get, it is get heated. When it is get heated, what will happen? One by one we will discuss. So pig iron is placed on the hearth and it is heated. So it will become molten state. So when it is become molten state, iron oxide is added at regular intervals for oxidation. So what is that iron oxide? Your hematite. So it is lined with earth, and also we have to add this iron oxide at regular intervals for oxidation purpose. So here what we are going to do, we are going to remove this silicon and manganese by oxidation, and which can be removed in the form of slag. So your silicon and manganese are the impurities that can be removed off in the form of slag. And if you see here, phosphorus is oxidized and removed as slag. So first silicon and manganese are removed, and later your phosphorus is removed, and carbon is oxidized and forms carbon dioxide and removed as gas. So carbon dioxide is a gas. Here it can be removed as slag, whether it can be removed as a gas. So your carbon is removed as gas, whereas your silicon, manganese and phosphorus removed as slag. So they are oxidized and the slag is formed, and the slag can be removed in the later it can be removed off, which can settle on the molten metal. And wrought iron is obtained from the furnace. So at the end, what you are going to get? You are going to get wrought iron that can be settled on the hearth. When you remove off this slag, which is settled on the molten metal, so later you can tap this molten metal from the furnace. So that is the wrought iron we can obtain from the puddling furnace. I am repeating what we have discussed. See, pig iron is placed in the hearth from the charging doors. When the furnace is fired, you will get heat. Because of that heat, pig iron will be melted, and later we will send some air blast, fresh air blast, and while sending the air blast, we have to stir the molten metal, molten pig iron continuously, such that it should contact the molten metal and the impurities can be get oxidized. So what we have to do, we have to add the iron oxide at regular intervals for oxidation purpose, as well as we have to line the hearth with iron oxide, that is hematite generally. So what will happen? These are the impurities that are present in the pig iron. Your silicon and manganese are oxidized and they are removed in the form of slag, and phosphorus is oxidized and removed as slag. And if you see the carbon, so you are having carbon and it reacts with oxygen and it forms carbon dioxide. So we know that carbon dioxide is a gas, and it can be leave the furnace in the form of gas. So first three impurities can be removed in the form of slag, and your carbon can be removed in the form of gas. So later, what will happen on the hearth? So what is happening when the pig iron completely melts and the impurities are oxidized and slag is formed? What will happen? The slag is lighter compared to your molten metal. So the molten metal settles on the hearth at the lower portion, and on that molten metal you are having a slag which floats on the molten metal. So on the molten metal the slag is floating, so we can remove easily that slag, and later we can collect the molten metal by using tap hole, and in this way we will get the wrought iron from the puddling furnace. Okay, so this is the operation of a puddling furnace. You can write these sentences in a beautiful way to describe this operation of a puddling furnace. And if you see the next things, what reactions, see, these are the reactions going to occur. So you are having different stages of reactions here. So what are the reactions we are having? We will discuss. See here, we are having variety of see, we are having first stage reactions. So reactions that takes place in 3 stages. So here in the puddling furnace, the reactions will take place in 3 stages. The first stage reactions are, so your silicon reacts and your silicon dioxide will be formed. Similarly, manganese will be oxidized. Okay, so you are getting slag here. If you see here, silicon and manganese are oxidized here, and these are later forming slag. Later they are forming slag. Okay, so first they are oxidized and they are forming a slag, right? So silicon is oxidized, manganese is oxidized, and they are forming the slag which can be removed easily. And if you see the second stage, if you see the second stage of reactions, if you see the phosphorus reacts. So what phosphorus reacts with ore, and you are having phosphorus and iron oxide, and later you are going to get this slag. This is the slag. You are going to get slag. See, so in the second stage, what we are going to remove? We are going to remove phosphorus. In the initial stage, in the first stage, what we are going to remove? Silicon and manganese. In the second stage, what we are going to remove? We are going to remove phosphorus. These reactions are very, very important in the examination. You have to write the reactions. So first stage reactions, second stage reactions, and third stage reactions. If you see the third stage reactions, in the third stage, what is happening? The carbon that is present in the pig iron as impurity can be removed. So what are the impurities we are having? Silicon, manganese, phosphorus, and carbon. So in the initial first stage, silicon and manganese are removed. In the second stage, phosphorus is removed. In the third stage, carbon is removed in the form of carbon dioxide. So in the first stage and second stage, they are removed in the form of slag. First, they are oxidized and they will form slag, and the slag can be easily removed. So these are the three set of equations. That means three stages of equations we are having in the puddling furnace to get wrought iron. So composition of wrought iron. How the composition of wrought iron will be? That means what are the percentage of iron and what are the percentage of impurities and other materials we have to discuss here. See, you have to remember one sentence, one important sentence, that is the purest form of iron is wrought iron. That means if you take pig iron or some other irons, which is the purest form? Wrought iron is the purest form, because here if you see the percentage of iron in wrought iron is 99%. If you see here, 99% of iron will present in wrought iron and 1% will be your carbon, silicon, manganese, and phosphorus. So these are the impurities. So you are having impurities, carbon, silicon, manganese, and phosphorus, and you are having 99% iron in wrought iron. So that's why wrought iron is known as purest form of iron. Okay. So it is very, very important question coming to your competitive examinations. Which is the purest form of iron? Wrought iron is the purest form of iron. Composition, and later if you see the properties. Okay, so how the properties will be? So here if you see the properties, corrosion resistance, here you are having corrosion resistance. For wrought iron, it is having corrosion resistance and it is soft and tough. So it is having tough, that means it can able to absorb energy, but it will have low strength because it is having high purity, so easily welded and forged. If you go for the technological properties, weldability and forgeability are good. Okay, so these are the properties of wrought iron. So corrosion resistance is good, and it is soft and tough, and but it is having low strength and easily welded and forged. It is easily welded and forged. So what are the applications where we can use this wrought iron? See here, wrought iron can be used for railway couplings. So for manufacturing of railway couplings, we can use this wrought iron. So wrought iron can be used for railway couplings and for making of crane hooks, boiler tubes, pipe fittings, plates, chains. So applications means where we are going to use this wrought iron. So we can use in railway couplings, crane hooks, boiler tubes, pipe fittings, plates and chains, which is very, very important in the examination. See, remember, write the properties of wrought iron, write the applications of wrought iron. So these things they will ask in the examination. So you are able to write what are the properties it will have, what are the applications the wrought iron will have. That means where we can use this wrought iron, we have to able to answer. But if I ask you one question, in the previous session we have discussed pig iron, but we didn't discuss the applications of pig iron. Why? Because if you see, the already told you, pig iron is not suitable for industrial applications directly. That means pig iron is not having sufficient properties that can be suitable for industrial applications. That means it is not having minimum mechanical properties or minimum properties that are suitable for industrial applications. That's why it is not having any industrial applications. Only it is used as a charge, as a raw material for a production of your wrought iron. So what is the charge here? From pig iron only you are getting the wrought iron. So it is not having any industrial applications. What we are doing here? So we are getting pig iron from the blast furnace, and that pig iron is here refined again, and we are removing the impurities from the pig iron in the purling furnace, and we are getting the wrought iron, which is 99% pure. That means the purest form of iron is your wrought iron. So here we are removing the impurities from the pig iron and we are using that wrought iron for our industrial applications. So here we can use for railway couplings, crane hooks, boiler tubes and pipe fittings, plates and chains. So for these we are going to use this wrought iron. Okay. See, before going into summary, so what we have discussed. So first we have to know, just go through the previous slides. We will discuss what we have discussed. See, the principle. So how you are getting, how you are going to get wrought iron, that principle we have discussed. Okay. So how you are going to get wrought iron? You are going to get wrought iron by removing the impurities by oxidation process at high temperature in a furnace. From pig iron, you are going to get wrought iron. So this is the principle. Okay. So it is clearly explained here. So how the impurities are removed from the wrought iron, and what is that process is known as fettling operation. Fettling operation is nothing but removing the impurities from the pig iron at high temperatures by oxidation method in a furnace is known as fettling operation. And if we go for the, what are the impurities that are present in a pig iron, and what the, which impurities we are going to remove from the pig iron, that is silicon, manganese, phosphorus and carbon that are oxidized and later it can be removed. So how they are removed? Silicon, manganese and phosphorus, they will oxidize and they will form slag, they can be removed. And your carbon will be oxidized and forms carbon dioxide, it can be removed in the form of gas. So later what you are going to get? You are going to get wrought iron. So this is the principle of purling furnace. And later we have discussed the construction details of a purling furnace. If you see, you are having a small wall here, on that one this coke is burned, and you are having a hearth, on that one you are having a charging door. From this one molten pig iron will be charged into this one. This hearth is charged with lined with iron oxide, that is hematite, and you are having a provision for air blast. You are having tires here, tires for providing of fresh air. And if you see the construction, you are having a dome-like structure of this roof, and it is a low roof. So because of this dome-like structure and low roof, what will happen? Whatever the flames and the hot gases that will touch the dome, and it will be reflected back or deflect towards the earth. And because of that one, it is known as, puddling furnace is known as reverberatory furnace. So what is the other name it is given? Reverberatory furnace. So it is also known as reverberatory furnace, and these flue gases are sent to the chimney. So this is the main construction of a puddling furnace. And if you see, so this is the cut section of a puddling furnace. If you see how it will look like, so here if you see this coke is burned here, you are sending a hair blast from here, so it is reflecting back. When it is touching, it is reflecting back. Okay, and these flue gases are sent to the chimney, and this is the molten metal settled here. On that one, you are having slag that can be removed off. Okay, so this is the general construction of a puddling furnace. See this one also. So description already we have discussed. So it is also known as reverberatory furnace, and it is lined, that earth is lined with hematite, and frequently what we have to do, we have to add iron oxide. So it is having a low roof which is having dome shape. When it touches the, when the hot gases or the flames touches the dome, what will happen? It will reflect back onto the earth, and your earth is charged with the pig iron. From the charging doors, you are charging the pig iron, and when the furnace is fired and the pig iron melts, what will happen? And the molten metal is brought into contact with the oxygen to get oxidation, to get that is fresh air. What we are sending from the tires, it will be get oxidized. What are the impurities that are having that can be oxidized? Generally, what are the impurities we are having? You are having silicon, manganese, phosphorus, and carbon. So to get all the impurities that are present in that one to get oxidized, what we have to do? We have to stir it properly such that every impurity can be removed off from the pig iron, and later we will get the wrought iron. Okay, so this is the process we already discussed. So your pig iron is placed in the hearth of the furnace, and it should be heated, and iron oxide should be added at intervals, and the lining also should be with the iron oxide. And first, in the first set, that means in the first stage of reaction, what will happen? Your silicon and manganese will be oxidized, and they will form slag, and they can be removed off. And phosphorus removed off in the sense they will form as slag, and phosphorus can be oxidized and they can form slag, and carbon dioxide will be oxidized and it can be removed off in the form of gas. So at the end, what you are going to get? You are going to get wrought iron. And these are the reactions. So already I told you, in the initial stage, what you are having in the initial stage, your silicon and manganese are get oxidized, and later they will form slag. Similarly, in the second stage, your phosphorus get oxidized, and later it will form will be slag. And so first the phosphorus will be get oxidized. What will happen later? That phosphorus, whatever the phosphorus that is oxidized, forms a slag. So slag can be removed easily. So if you see the first set of first stage equations, silicon and manganese oxidized and forms a slag, and the second stage, your phosphorus forms a phosphorus gets oxidized and forms slag. And if you see the third stage of reactions, so whatever the carbon that is present, that can be oxidized and can be removed in the form of gas, that is carbon dioxide. So these are the three stages of equations we are having. And composition of wrought iron. If you see the composition of wrought iron, we are having 99% of iron is present in wrought iron. So that's why it is known as purest form of iron. And all the 1% we are having impurities, that is carbon, silicon, manganese, and phosphorus. So, and the properties we have discussed here, it is having corrosion resistance and soft, tough, and low strength. It is having, it can be easily welded and forged. And we have discussed various applications, that it can be used for railway couplings, crane hooks, boiler tubes, pipe fittings, plates and chains, For manufacturing plates and chains, all these things we can use this wrought iron. See, these things already we have discussed. So this is the summary. What are the things we have discussed? That is puddling for constructional details, principle and operation of puddling furnace, reactions in 3 stages, and production of wrought iron, application and properties of wrought iron we have discussed, and the composition of wrought iron. Composition of wrought iron. If you see the questions related to quiz, so what is the purest form of iron is wrought iron. Purest form of iron is wrought iron, and composition of wrought iron is 99% iron and others are 1%, that is impurities are 1%. Oxidation of impurities in pig iron are called, that means oxidation of impurities. So that is the principle. So what will happen? So when the impurities are gets oxidized at high temperature in a furnace, that process is known as fettling operation. So that is the principle of this your puddling furnace. And wrought iron produced, where the wrought iron is produced, where the wrought iron is produced in the puddling furnace, wrought iron is produced. And these are the generally frequently asked questions. What is fettling? So what is fettling? Oxidation of impurities that present in the pig iron at high temperatures in a furnace is known as fettling operation. Write down the properties. So what are the properties it is having? That is soft, tough, and low strength. It is having corrosion resistance and weldability and forgeability. Those are the properties and applications where we can use railway couplings, plates, boiler tubes, pipe fittings. All these things are the applications of this wrought iron. Explain the production of wrought iron by puddling furnace. So you have to explain, you have to draw the diagram, you have to give the constructional details and operations, and later you have to explain the stages of reactions and how the wrought iron is produced from the puddling furnace. Okay, so with this one I am closing today's session.